Alright though, Taffy here, and here's 3 reasons why you, the GMs, listing your games off server is vastly superior to solely relying on community marketing for players. Before we kick off, look at this graph. If this is at least your second time here, sub. Anyway, reason number 1. You can list games where I can't list the community. To understand why this is, first we need to understand what these forums are. The short answer is they're communities themselves. The long answer, albeit still a crude simplification, is essentially there are 2 types of communities. Those with restrictive posting that only allow posts of games which are to be hosted within the community itself, and those with non-restrictive posting that allow for any game to be posted regardless of where it's ultimately going to be run. Restrictive posting communities tend to be far more social since everybody plays together, but at the cost of much slower growth. Non-restrictive posting communities tend to be far larger, but for the most part aren't much more than an index for games, i.e. more of a forum than a hangout. So to conclude, for those of you who don't already know, posting a link to a community on another community is referred to as poaching, and it's typically an instantly bannable offense. On a side note, when posting your games off-site, remember to list them with your Discord name, not your TTA invite. There's a few reasons for this, but mainly because in some places moderators are mere NPCs that may construe what is clearly intended to be a game post as a community post purely because it has a community link within it. What this means for you: you get to have a say in who's able to join our community. While you're the gatekeeper to a larger number of doors, your reach is going to be far greater than mine. And even in forums that do allow for community posts, this is usually highly restricted, only 1 post per week and within a specific thread, on display in the bottom of a locked filing cabinet in a disused lavatory with a sign on the door saying "Be aware of the leopard." Whereas no such restrictions are ever extended to game posts. Community posts are very inclusive by their nature, broadcasting their existence and allowing anyone to access that's merely willing to click the link. Whereas game posts by their nature are very exclusive, since you're only listing with your Discord name. So if you encounter what you consider to be a particularly unsavory individual, they never even need to hear the name Tabletop Arcade. Reason number 2. Game posts get far more responses than community posts anyway. Players are looking for games, they're not looking for communities. Well, there are some exceptions, but that is true in almost all cases. The general state of tabletop games online is that there are way more players than there are GMs to run for them. Thus, most communities are just full of players looking for GMs. TTA is one of the rarer GM-heavy communities, in part due to the academy and member willingness to teach and encourage development as a whole. I mean, this is a good problem to have, we're just yet to take advantage of it. What this means for you: with more players to choose from, you get to handpick the players that best fit your game. Why settle for that player who's hell-bent on playing a wizard in your low fantasy vision? Why try to balance combat and RP when all you really want to do is write some good story with players who just want to stay in character? Or maybe you don't care much for the RP and just want to roll some min-max dice at some mindless hordes. Why settle for seasoned veterans when all you want to do is enthrall brand new players in their very first game and through them experience the magic of your very first game all over again? Or why settle for new players when you want to run a deadly, gritty, dark story that will require your players to be on the A game or die? Well, if you're only listing your games on TTA where we're GM heavy, you probably don't have much choice. Whereas if you listed that game where players are plenty, you can afford to be a bit more picky. Simply require players to apply first and then manage their expectations before deciding to invite them to join the table. On a side note, if you come across a good player that may not necessarily suit your game but would be perfect for another that's listed on TTA still looking, be a darling and refer them to the other GM. You'd want others to do the same for you. Reason number 3. Game posts have a higher member retention and engagement rate than community posts. Regardless of how cool a hangout the TTA is, new members need to first interact with the damn place before they can figure that out. But new members won't typically interact unless they have a reason to do so, such as a game or an event. Plus, if they don't start interacting within the first couple of days of joining, typically we lose their attention altogether. Game posts by their very nature negate this issue, since members brought in this way have already joined a game. To match this performance via community post recruitment, every member to join through it would require A, a mutually available game or event of interest almost immediately, B, said member to have figured out or be shown where said event is posted and how to join it, and C, said member not to be too intimidated to do so. I'm assuming we're all aware of the typical social demographic of tabletop games online, right? Now, admittedly, existing members guiding new members as they appear does help a lot with this, and it's awesome that you guys do this. Don't ever change. But no practice will ever compare to pre-joining a game. What this means, not just to you, but to everyone in the TTA, is more member engagement. More events to join, more members willing to join your events. I think most people, at least at some point, has had an idea they wanted to run with, but felt there just isn't enough engagement to get it off the ground. The vast amount of things that are possible with a more active community are too voluminous to list in a single video, and I'm sure any one of us could come up with at least 3 things off the top of our heads, so I'll leave it at that. So there's your 3 reasons. In the description below, I'll include a bunch of non-restrictive posting communities for you to take advantage of. And if any of you need any help writing your advert, please ask me. I am very good at it and I'll be very happy to help. That's it, guys. Thank you for your time. Love you heaps and heaps. Hugs and kisses all round. Now list your fucking games. Cheers!